Can you also see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so just give me a minute. Okay, let's start then. So, as we in the last session, we already started off with the understanding of what exactly is a revenue and what is the definition of revenue recognition, right? Which means which are the different scenarios under which the revenue has to be recognized. Okay, and we also understood what will be the accounting impact in case of all these different scenarios. Okay, so what we will do today is we will see how exactly these scenarios are configured in SAP and what will happen whenever we perform any kind of transactions. Okay, so I already created some of the documents, not exactly created, these are the documents which I identified which are already available in the system for this particular scenario. What we will do is we will go through these documents, we will understand how exactly they are working, and then we will go to the configuration and see how they are configured, which will give you the complete picture that how exactly this functionality works. And once you get this picture, you will be ready to understand what is the purpose of revenue recognition and how it was working in SAP as the revenue recognition. Once you understand that, then we will come to our important topic, what are the changes now, right? And then obviously we will understand how SAP RAR is different and how the same functionality will work in SAP RAR. Okay, so we'll start with these different scenarios. If you remember, there were 5 different scenarios that we discussed in our last session. The first scenario was revenue at the time of billing, which means as soon as you create a billing document, system will identify or system will recognize the complete revenue and the cycle will be closed there itself. No need to recognize the revenue at the period end, year end. You don't need to worry about that, right? The second scenario was the billing cycle, which means if you want that the revenue should be recognized every monthly or every quarterly, okay, and then you want to book it as a deferred revenue, which means you created a billing document first and then at the month end you realize the revenue. So what will happen during that time? System will keep those revenues which are booked under the deferred revenue account, and at the end of the month this deferred revenue account will get nullified and the actual revenue will be booked. Okay, so just quickly, I think this one liner is not sufficient. Just quickly, I'll take another 10-15 minutes to recap whatever we have discussed, all these scenarios. Okay, so forget about these document numbers. I will write all the scenarios here that we discussed. Okay, so scenario 1 was revenue recognition at the time of billing. Okay, which means your customer account will be debited and your revenue account will be credited, right, at the same time of billing. So there is no need of any revenue recognition under this scenario. There is scenario 2 where revenue is booked at the start of contract but recognized, or I can say billing is done at the start of contract. Billing is done at the start of contract, but revenue is recognized at the end of every period. Okay, so anybody can tell me what is the accounting entry which will be applicable here? Which account will come into the picture? We discussed already this in the last session. So what will be the accounting entry at the time of billing?
Customer will be debited and the deferred account will be credited.
Yes, so billing is done at the start of the contract.
Start of the contract.
The customer account will
Debited.
get debited, right? And
Yeah,
since
revenue.
yes, since this revenue we are not booking at the time of billing itself, till the time revenue is recognized, it will go into account deferred revenue. Please excuse there is background noise. Yes. So customer account will be debited and deferred revenue account will be credited. And then what will happen at every period end? What will be this accounting entry now at the end of period?
Deferred revenue will be debited and revenue account will be credited.
Exactly. So deferred revenue account, which is a clearing account which we already used here, that will get debit, and our actual account, which is the revenue account, will get credited. Okay, so this is the second scenario in which the billing is done at the start of the contract, but revenue is recognized at the end of every period. Let's talk about scenario 3. Scenario 3 is billing is done at the end of contract, but revenue has to be recognized at end of every period. So what do you think? What will be the time of at the time of billing? What will come here? Billing will come first or the period end will come first? Because billing you are doing at the end of the contract.
Period will come first.
Sorry, Katir?
Yeah, period will come first. Third.
Okay, so let's say period end is coming first. So what will be the accounting entry at the time of period end?
So we will debit the revenue and then credit DD. Sorry, almost on.
No, Katir, can you come again? Katir, please go ahead.
Yeah, the month end we will debit the revenue account because we are recognizing revenue. And then we will
no problem. See, revenue first of all, whenever we are talking about revenue
will be credited. Revenue will be credited and unbilled will be debited.
Yes. So revenue account is always going to be credited. Okay, revenue account, it will be debited only when there is a cancellation. So whenever you are booking the revenue, it is always credit, right? And
yes.
Debit account, since we are not booking the billing, since we are not done the billing, which means our customer will never be debited here, and that is the reason we need another clearing account called as unbilled receivables.
Okay.
Right, because at the year end or at the end of the contract, whatever amount will be available in unbilled receivables, that we will convert to the customer account. So what will happen at the time of billing, at the end of the contract, customer account, actual customer account will get debit, and whatever amount is available in unbilled receivables, that will get credit.
Makes sense. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Then there was this scenario 4 in which what is it? Yes, there is a billing cycle. Okay, which means billing will be done at, there is some background noise, Rohit, please mute yourself. Yeah, billing will be done at the end of every period. Okay, this is the example of something called as billing plan. Okay, and since the billing is done.
So scenario
Yes.
2 is basically the posting period, but scenario 4 is basically the billing plan, correct?
Yeah, see, scenario 2 is billing is being done only at the start of the contract, right? But if you see this scenario 4, billing is done at the end of every period. That is the basic difference. So what is happening, since billing is done at the start of contract, there is only one time we are booking the billing. But here we are booking the billing every period end, and that is the reason at every period end this normal entry will come, because there is no question of deferred revenue and there is no question of unbilled customer account or unbilled receivable account, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so these are the different scenarios. There was a scenario 5, but that is okay, that we will discuss separately. But let's talk about these scenarios, how they practically work in SAP system. Okay, so we'll go one by one. First, we'll take this first scenario, which is revenue recognition at the time of billing. And this is our contract number, this one, and item number 40. Okay, so I'll go to this SAP system. VA43. Why I'm going to VA43? Because whenever we are going to create any service contract, please mute yourself, Fatir. Rohit, please mute yourself. Rohit, I'm muted from my side. Whenever you have any question, you can write on the chat screen. Okay, so whenever you are going to create a service contract, okay, service contract means, as I told you, whenever you are entering into the contract which is valid for a quarter or year or whatever the term you are going into the contract, that has to be created using transaction VA41. Okay. So VA41 is a transaction which will be used to create the contract. VA42, as you know, the transactions ending with 1 is for creation, ending with 2 are to change, and ending with 3 are display. So what we are doing is we are going to transaction VA43, which is to display a particular contract. Okay, either you can go through this, or if you want to go via the easy access menu, then you can go to logistics, sales and distribution, sales, you have contract here, and you can see these 3 options: to create, to change, and to display. So we want to display a contract. I will double click on this. I need to specify the contract number. So I hope this is the one that we want to see. Yes, we want to see this contract. Now if I press enter, it is giving me this contract details. Okay, so as you can see here, there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 items which are billed under this contract. And all of the items have a different revenue recognition technique. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to see how the revenue is booked at the time of billing. So we'll go for this item 40, which is the 4th line item. Okay, so if I double click on this, see what you can see here is, or maybe even if I go back, see the description. Okay, so somebody has created this material with the description itself that this material will be recognized immediately at the time of billing. Okay, and that is the reason if I double click on this, first of all, there is no billing plan. Okay, so normally if there is a billing plan, there will be a separate tab available here for billing plan. Or if you click on this line, you can click on this billing plan. It will tell you if there are any billing plans available. What is the billing plan? As I told you, billing plan means this kind of third scenario where the billing is done multiple times. Okay, sorry, fourth scenario where the billing is done at the end of every period, or it may be at the end of every quarter. So there is not only one single billing, billing is also divided into multiple phases. So since there is no billing plan here, obviously the billing document is getting created only once. So if we double click on this, billing document is created only once. If I want to see what has been done with this particular contract, I can go to this document flow and I can see that there is already the invoice, which means the billing has already been created for this particular invoice or the particular contract or contract item. Okay, so if I want to see the details, I'll go to this display document. I can see the billing has been done for 7016.49. Okay, and if I want to see the accounting, I will go to accounting here. Double click on the accounting document. So what you can see here is the vendor, sorry, the customer. This is the customer. Customer has been debited with this much amount, and the revenue has been booked. This is a one-time revenue which is booked at 7016.49. Now, if the question is coming into your mind, what is this then? So this is not belonging to our line item because there are multiple items in this sales order. If you concentrate on this billing document, this belongs to item number 40. The other lines which you are able to see here, deferred revenue and all, these are not for the line number 40, these are for other line items. So just forget about this line and just understand that you can see here that the revenue is booked at the time of billing. This is a very straightforward scenario. Whatever sales orders you create using the normal sales orders like order type OR or when you use transaction VA01, they are all billing related revenue recognition, which means as soon as you bill to the customer, the revenue will be recognized there itself. Okay, so this is our first scenario where when you do the billing, revenue is recognized then and there itself, customer is debited and actual revenue account gets credited. Okay, any question on this?
Yeah, Gaurav, one question. I have billing plans in the sales order, not in the contract, and I bill the customer at the beginning of the period. So which one of these scenarios does it fit into? Is it scenario 1, 2, 3, 4? I have sales order.
You are billing at the start of the year, right?
Right, right.
There is only one billing you are doing for the contract, or there are multiple billings?
Multiple billings, 3 billing plans in the sales order, and I bill the customer at the beginning of year.
In that case, if there is multiple billing according to billing plan, it will fall under this scenario 4.
But I don't bill them at the end of the period. I bill them at the beginning of the period. So is it a different
No problem. Yeah. I'll talk about that. Just give me a time. I'll talk about that scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so these scenarios are at the higher level, but there are obviously sub scenarios within this. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so now first we will understand what are the settings maintained in this scenario. Okay, how system knows that yes, whatever revenue has to be recognized. Yes, there is some background noise. Do you have any question?
Gaurav, can you tell me, see, this is I understand that which we have to perform now fully on a service invoice, so service-based invoice. So can I know which scenario can we book this invoice? So business scenario.
Service,
what kind
right?
of business? Yeah. No, whatever we book now, okay. What will be the business scenario? So it's used in telecommunication or automobiles.
Okay. See, normally whatever we have booked now, this is mainly relevant to the delivery of goods, because only the delivery of goods is the revenue which we recognized at the time of billing itself. Okay, in terms of service, if I talk about if you are providing the service every monthly, so your contract is only valid for a particular month, then definitely you will recognize all the revenue at the start of the contract itself or at the start of the billing itself. But when the service that you are providing is divided into multiple different periods, then definitely you have to recognize the revenue which is coming from service at different time intervals. Okay, but I think just wait for some time. Let me complete all these scenarios, and I think by default your answers or your questions, whatever you are asking, you will get the answers for that. Okay, so let me just show you how the system is configured and how system knows that for this particular line item, that is item number 40 for this contract, I want to be billed at, or I want to recognize the revenue at the time of billing itself. So for that, let me go back again to this contract. Okay, and obviously to line number 40, I'll double click on this line item. If you see this billing document tab, here there is a field for revenue recognition. Okay, and this field for revenue recognition, you can see there is no value, which means standard revenue recognition. Okay, what does this mean? Standard revenue recognition. Standard revenue recognition means, as I told you earlier also, the revenue will be recognized at the time of billing. No further recognitions of revenues are required. Okay, so then and there itself, whenever you create a billing document, if the revenue recognition category is blank, all the revenue will be recognized at that time itself. Okay, and that is the reason for this particular item, item number 40, the revenue has been recognized at the time of billing itself. Now the question is, are you going to enter this revenue recognition category at the time of creating the sales order or at the time of creating the sales contract? The answer is no. Normally, this field will be automatically determined based on this item category. Okay, based on this item category that you maintained in the line item. If you see here, if you see this sales contract, there are different items and each item is having a different item category. Okay, and based on this item category, system is determining whether to book this revenue as one-time revenue or to book this revenue at every period end, or there is a billing cycle or not, or there is a billing plan or not. All those things are getting determined only based on this particular item category. Okay, so in this item category, now let me take you to this configuration where this item category is maintained, and we are telling the system that if this is the item category, we want to go for one-time billing. Okay, so for that, let me go back to SPRO. Okay, in SPRO, you will find IMG obviously, and the configuration of SP related revenue recognition functionality was available within sales and distribution. Basic functions, this account assignment and costing. So there is a separate folder available for revenue recognition here. If you open this, there are only 2-3 configurations that you need to worry about, only 2. The first one is set revenue recognition for item category, right? We mean this, we need to specify for a particular item category how the revenue will be recognized, right? So if I open this and if I show you the one which we used just now, so this was item category ZRRN. If you see this line number 40, the item category which is maintained here is ZRRN. So ZRRN, if we double click on this, you can see the settings for revenue recognition. Okay, if this is blank, this means the revenue will be recognized as soon as the billing document has been created. Okay, so revenue recognition is based on the settings that you are maintaining in the item category for a particular item within the sales order or the sales contract. Okay, so normally whenever we are creating the standard order, which means if we are going to transaction VA01, yes?
Gaurav, hi, Rohit here. When you speak about the item categories here, so for time-based revenue or for other milestone-based revenue, the categories will be automatically defined in the system, is it? Or we have to manually define these categories?
No, see, definitely there will be some item categories which will be defined by the system also, and then obviously you can create your own item categories also.
So if I speak about the time-based revenue category, can you
Mm-hmm.
please go back to the item category tab, and I want to see that whether time-based revenue category is already configured and how this functions, how revenue is booked based on the
Yeah,
time-based.
exactly. So yes, yes, yes. Rohit, I'm coming to it. Just give me some time. As I told you, if you allow me to complete these scenarios, you will get
Yeah.
all the answers. I know what kind of
Okay.
questions you have in your mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we were here. If I double click on this, so based on the item category, system is able to determine what should be done for revenue recognition. Okay. So normally, whenever we go for sales order type, whenever we create a sales order, we go for transaction VA01, right? And in VA01, we need to specify the order type. Okay, so let's do this. If I go for VA01, which is to create a sales order. If I specify order type OR, okay, and then if I specify some material here, some customer here, so by default, the standard item category which is provided by SAP is TAN, okay, which is for standard item. Okay, and if I show you what is maintained for TAN here in this configuration, double click on this, you can see this is blank. So normally whatever item categories we use using transaction VA01, if you are not creating the contract, if you are just creating the normal sales order, normally this revenue recognition fields are always blank for this kind of item categories. Okay, which means these are not relevant to revenue recognition functionality. They are directly recognized at the time of billing. Okay. So Rohit, just mute yourself. There is some background noise.
Is it fine now?
No, no, no. We are still, there is a button to mute yourself,
Yeah, I
or
know.
maybe I.
So I have muted myself.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Let me. Yeah, I just muted you from my side. If you want to speak, just write on the chat screen. Okay. So we were talking about this ZRRN, which is blank and which is getting derived in this sales order, not in this one, in this sales order. Now coming to the next question, which will come to your mind, like, is it like we need to specify this item category whenever we are creating the sales contract? Okay, so we specified 4 different materials here. Do we need to go and specify in each and every item that which item category will come here? Again, the answer is no. Even these things, like as soon as you enter the material, if you want system automatically to pick ZRRN or ZRRE, there is a configuration for that also. Okay, so there is a configuration using which this item category is determined based on this combination of material and the order type. I will show you that configuration now, which is a standard configuration within SAP SD. So again, if I go for SPRO, IMG, within sales and distribution, sales documents, sales document item, because we are talking about the item level item categories. So within the items, I think this one, assign item categories. Okay, just click on assign item categories. You can see here, based on sales order type and item category group. Okay, let's take this example now. So if I want to know two things. I want to know what is my sales order type and I want to know what is my item category group. So first of all, if I click on this header information, I will get the contract type, which is the sales order type. So ZC02, this is my sales order type. So I'll go to position ZC02. Okay, and then the next question will come to your mind is how this item category group is getting determined. So item category group gets determined based on the material. So this material, right? This material must have been created as a material master, right? So we'll go to transaction MM03 to see this material. Okay, and within this, let's go to this sales related information. For plant, let me check out what is the plant here. I think it should be 3000. Let's see, 3000, 3000, and distribution channel 10. Okay, so what is maintained here? If I go to the next one, can you see this item category group, ZRRN? So when we create the material, at that time itself we know, right, what will be the nature of this particular material. Is this the service? Is this the service that we book at the beginning of the year? Is this the service that is booked at the end of the year? Is this the service which is going to follow the billing plan? Or is it a service which will be billed only once? Okay, so when you create the material, at that time you have to provide the item category group. And based on the combination of, as I told you here, based on this combination of sales order type and item category group. So you can see this is the combination that we are looking for, ZC02 and ZRRN. Now there can be different kind of combinations within this also. So you can see 1, 2, 3. These combinations are matching for sales order type ZC02 and item category group ZRRN. Okay, we'll talk about this higher level category later on, but just understand that your item category is getting determined based on this combination. Okay, so sales order type, definitely whenever you are creating a contract, the first question system will ask is which sales order type you want. Okay, what is your contract type? And the item category group is again the mandatory field which is required to be created or to be defaulted whenever you are creating the material master. Okay, and based on that, system is determining the item category, and based on this item category, system is determining how the revenue should be booked. Again, based on this settings, system is determining when to book the revenue, how to behave whenever you are creating any billing document under this particular item. Okay, so the flow is clear now. The first thing is you need to specify whenever you are creating the contract. Let's try one scenario. So whenever you are creating the contract, I will go to transaction VA41 to create a contract. The first thing system will ask you is which contract type. Okay, and then once you enter, system is definitely going to ask you for which material you want to create this contract. Now here, as soon as you enter the material, let me just try this. If you enter this material, I think this was the material, press enter, system will automatically determine, I think this is not the correct one, this is by time, we were using some other material. Let's see, the material number, this one.
Yeah, manuals, yeah.
Yes. So if I enter this here, you can see item category will be redetermined. Okay, so you can see this item category has been set to ZRRN. How? Based on the combination of item category group which is maintained in the material master and sales order type. And definitely based on this item category, now if I double click on this, so system is telling us that there is no revenue recognition method to be used here. Revenue will be recognized as soon as the line, this particular line has been billed to the customer. Okay, so this is how this flow will work. This is how system will be able to determine how the revenue will be recognized. Now, why I'm giving so much of importance to this particular configuration? Because anyways, we are going to see the new revenue accounting and RAR. We are going to see the revenue accounting and reporting as a separate component. Why we are focusing so much on SD revenue recognition? The reason is whatever I'm explaining you, this is not changed. Okay, even in SAP RAR also, it totally depends upon how you are creating your sales contract. The way of creating your sales contract, the way of determining the item category, the way of whether this item category is relevant for revenue recognition or not, these are exactly same. Only thing is, once you create the sales contract, after that, instead of determining the revenue in revenue recognition component of SAP SD, it will go to SAP RAR. Okay, so in short, you need to understand this. This is very important, not only from the old functionality point of view, but also from the new functionality for SAP RAR. Okay, so there was one question on the chat screen. Let me answer that. Yes. So Rohit, as I told you, this is only one scenario. This is a very straightforward scenario which I've shown you. Definitely, I'm going to take on the other examples now. Okay, so I think this is clear now. Even if not, let me complete this, and then I think definitely you'll be able to understand each and every scenario. Okay, so let's go for scenario number 2 now. What is scenario number 2? We are saying billing is done at the start of contract, or maybe billing is done, let's not say at the start of contract, let's say billing is done in advance, right? Billing is booked first and revenue is booked afterwards. Whether at the end of the whether at the beginning of the contract or beginning of the quarter, it depends upon the contract to contract. So billing is done in advance, but revenue is recognized at end of every period. Okay, so we know what will happen. Since billing is done in advance, our customer will be booked at the time of billing itself. But since this revenue belongs to the future periods, it will be booked under this deferred revenue account. And every month end, every period end, the actual revenue will get transferred from this deferred revenue, making deferred revenue account as blank. And at the end of the contract, all the revenue will be booked under this revenue account. Okay. So for this, let's see which scenario is applicable here. This is related to deferred revenue and deferred revenue with, let's go with these two options. These are both relevant for this second scenario. So deferred revenue with billing cycle and deferred revenue without billing cycle. First, let's go to this one, deferred revenue without billing cycle. So it is again the same contract, item number 20. Okay, so I'm coming to the same contract, but this time we will focus on this item, that is item number 20. Okay, so you can see based on this combination of sales order type, which is again ZC02, and the item category which is assigned to this material, system has determined that the item category for this item is ZRRT, which is nothing but revenue recognition by time. Okay, now this is the scenario for without billing cycle, which means the billing will be only created once. When we say with billing cycle, there will be multiple different billings. Maybe at the end of period, maybe at the end of quarter, maybe at the end of every 6 months. It depends, right? But here when we are saying the ZRRT, which is not relevant to billing plan, right? There is no billing plan because billing is done only once. So for example, if I click on this billing plan, I will get this message that this item cannot be invoiced according to billing plan. Okay, because billing is carried out only once. Okay, so if I double click on this, there is no billing plan tab here. If you go to billing document, see the difference. Okay, so what is happening here? If you remember last time in our last material that we have seen, which was number 40, if you go to this billing document, these two fields are blank, and that is the reason revenue was booked then and there itself. But when we are going to this item number 20, based on the item category which is derived, what is happening is there is a separate or there is a different values in these fields, revenue recognition and start date. We'll talk about that. So what is revenue recognition A? If you open this, revenue recognition A means time related revenue recognition. Okay, which means the revenue is recognized into different time intervals. Okay, and who will decide what are these time intervals? So if you close this and if I show you the billing plan, sorry, if I show you the document flow, let's open this. So see, invoice has been created. First of all, let's see the contract details. If I go to the contract, in the contract data, see this contract is started from 13th November 2008 and ending at 12th November 2009. So this contract is valid for 1 year, right? The contract validity is 1 year, starting from 13/11/2008 to 12/11/2009. Okay, now let's go to the document flow and see when this invoice got created. So this invoice got created on 13/11/2008, which means at the beginning of the contract. Okay, and which line is relevant for us? This line, item number 20. Forget about these lines. We are only going to talk about this line. So what has happened here? The total value of this line was 2730.74. Okay, this was billed, not recognized, right? We are talking about billing. The billing was done on 13/11/2018. So this complete amount will be booked for customer, right? If you see this scenario, this complete amount will be booked for customer, but from the revenue perspective, it will go to deferred revenue account. Okay, so if you see here, if I go to accounting now, again just concentrate on this first line. Okay, so what is happening here? Sorry, I think this is not the correct line. Let me go back. $2730.74. This is the line that we want to concentrate, right? And if I go for this one, 2730.74, if I go to display document and go for accounting, yeah, this is the line. So you can see, although our customer got debited at the time of billing, but full revenue, that is 2730.74, the entire revenue that was booked on the start date of the contract is going to deferred revenue account. Okay, it is completely going to deferred revenue account. And what will happen at every month end? Every month end, this amount divided by 12 will get booked as the revenue. So deferred revenue will get debited and actual revenue account will get credited at the end of every month. Okay, and how it is done? Let me show you now. So we will go back to, there is a report again within logistics, sales and distribution, billing, revenue recognition. So whatever SD revenue recognition related transactions are available to carry out the process, they are available under this node. sales distribution, billing, and revenue recognition. And within this, you have this report, revenue report, VF45. So if I double click on this for sales document number, which we are just looking at, I think this is number 5. Is it correct? Let me see. Okay, and let's try to, I think the company code is different. Let's see. No, it looks like okay. Yeah, company code is okay. So just try to execute this and see. Yes, exactly. So this see what is happening. Here you can see this amount of 2730.74. This is still recognized to be revenue at the end of every month. So they just, for this particular scenario, they just booked all the amount into deferred revenue account, but this amount is still not transferred to the recognized revenue. Okay, because somebody has just created this contract, created the billing document also, but he never processed this contract for the end of every month. So for example, let's try to do this. If everything is okay, it will work. So let's take an example for month 12, 2008. Why I'm not taking 11? Because for 11, it will only calculate for the remaining days, only for 18 days. If I want to show you how this much amount, for example, if I go to Calci, 2730 divided by, or 0.74, if I divide this by 12, okay, so this much amount should get transferred from deferred revenue to actual revenue at the end of every month, which means there is a separate transaction for recognizing the revenue, VF44. If I execute this for the sale document number for the period which is on 12 of 2008, if everything is okay, this will work. Otherwise, don't worry about this. I'm just trying to show you how it works. Click on execute and you can see this 227.56. Is it correct? Is it something that we calculated just now? 227.56 is getting booked as revenue at the end of every month. So what will happen? This 227.56 will get out from deferred revenue and this will be booked as the actual revenue account. You can see it will flow from this account to this account, or maybe the other way around. It will flow from this deferred revenue account to actual revenue account whenever you execute this transaction VF44 at the end of every month. So normally at the end of every month, we are not going to book all this one document by document. We will just provide this as blank and we will execute whatever number of revenue recognition items need to be considered. We just provide the period and date and it will automatically recognize the revenue for all the open contracts.
Where do you define this revenue account determination? Is it at SD or somewhere else?
Sorry, Rama, can you come again?
So where do you do this revenue account determination? Which GL account of it?
Yes, I'm coming to it, Rama. Yeah. So the question is, when I'm executing this, system is telling me yes, the data will be transferred from this account to this account. The question is, first of all, whenever this document was booked, how system has determined the revenue account, how the system has determined the deferred revenue account. Okay, so this is a normal configuration in SAP SD, or you can say the integration between SAP SD and SAP FI, which you normally do in transaction VKOA. Right, VKOA you must be already aware if you are coming from FI or SD background. In VKOA, we can maintain the list of GL accounts for the revenue booking. Okay, and if I go for this combination, which is application V, condition type KOFI, chart of account, I think it is CO something. Let me check this. How can I check what is the chart of account assigned to this particular company code? I'll go to OBY6, which is global parameters for company code. And here our company code is 3000, and this will tell me which chart of account is assigned, CAUS. So I need to go to CAUS. Under CAUS, I need to go to 3000, and you can see this is my actual revenue account and this is my deferred revenue account. This provision account means deferred revenue account. So what will happen if I am booking the actual revenue will go here. But if I am booking the revenue for the service contract where I don't want to recognize it as of now, then it will go to this provisional account. And at the end of every month, automatically the amount will get transferred from this account to this account. Right, Ramakrishna, you were asking this question?
Yeah, so is it the same like if I create an accounting document also I get the same entries?
If you create an accounting document, which accounting document?
Normal invoice-based accounting document.
If you go with the normal invoice-based accounting document, then this revenue account will get determined because it will be actual revenue. If you are using revenue recognition, then only this provisional account will come into picture.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a place where you determine the deferred revenue account from. Okay, so what we have seen, let me again go back to our contract. Yes, this one. So this is our contract. Based on this item number 20, system has determined that the item category will be ZRRT. And if we double click on this, go to here, system is able to determine that the revenue recognition is active and revenue will be determined or recognized at the end of, revenue will be recognized based on time related revenue recognition. Okay, and time related revenue recognition means the monthly one. Every monthly the revenue has to be recognized, and it has automatically determined the calculation also, like how much amount should be determined at the end of every month. Just give me a minute. Sorry. So this is how the system has determined this particular amount, and obviously from where this setting is getting picked, it is getting picked from the configuration. Okay, again if I go back to SPRO, so from item category settings, if you go to again within sales and distribution, basic functions, account assignment and costing, this revenue recognition and set revenue recognition for item category. Okay, so this is a place for item category ZRRT. You can see this is related to revenue recognition and time related revenue recognition. Okay, and what is this period start? Which means whenever you create the contract, whenever you go for transaction VA41, how system will determine what is the start date of the contract, this one. Okay, so this is based on the contract start date, proposal based on the contract start date, which means the revenue will be recognized from this date itself. Okay, so there are different options. We'll see this separately. So one is not relevant. Not relevant means whenever it is not related to revenue recognition at all. Second is proposal based on the contract start date, and third one is proposal based on the billing plan start date. Okay, I'll show you what is billing plan start date. Okay, so this is the second scenario in which billing is done first and then revenues are recognized every month. So whenever the billing is created, system will debit the customer there itself and credit the deferred revenue account. And then every monthly, system will debit the deferred revenue account and actual revenues will get booked.
Gaurav, one quick question. When we do VF44, even that picks the from VKOA?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Sure.
Because VKOA is not only about the actual revenue account, even the deferred revenue account is available in VKOA.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. But there is also one exception. We will talk about the third scenario, in which case, if you remember, there is one scenario in which there will be unbilled receivables, no deferred revenue. Okay, so deferred revenue and revenue we know where exactly those are maintained. So these two accounts are definitely coming from VKOA. But this account, unbilled receivables, although this is also related to VF44, when you do the VF44, this unbilled receivables will get debited. So where exactly that is maintained, that I will show you separately.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Okay, now let's go to this scenario. I'll go to this scenario fourth first, and then I'll come again back to, or maybe forget about this. Let's go to, I told you for scenario number 2, there are two options. One is revenue, deferred revenue with billing cycle and deferred revenue without billing cycle. The first one this one we have seen now, deferred revenue without billing cycle. Now we'll see deferred revenue with billing plan or billing cycle. What exactly is this? This means whenever there is no billing cycle, this means billing is done only once. And since we are talking about deferred revenue, obviously this billing will be done at the start of the contract. Okay, but there are scenarios where, let's say, you are not doing the entire billing of 1 year in the first period itself, you are doing it every quarterly, for example. So in that case, definitely deferred revenue account will come into the picture, but there will be 4 billing documents, right? Because you are carrying out the billing at the end of every quarter or at the beginning of every quarter. Clear on this? Okay, let me show you this example. I can hear the background noise. Do you have any question? If not, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so I'll again go to transaction VA43, and this is the contract that we are talking about. Now in this contract, see what is happening. This is first of all contract type SC, not ZC02. This is contract type SC. And second thing, this is for this separate material, PC_service_A. Okay, and definitely in this material master, there must be some item category group. Based on the combination of the item category group and sales order type, system has determined item category WVN. Okay, WVN is the item category which is determined based on this combination. Okay, but this, what is the difference between ZRRT and WVN is ZRRT was without billing plan and WVN is with billing plan. How to determine that? So let me go back again to the configuration. Within sales and distribution, sales documents, document items, and item categories. So we will compare ZRRT with WVN. I'll follow the same path. You can also use transaction codes. So sales and distribution, sales document item categories, and I want to see for WVN. Okay, let's try to compare these two now. So see the difference here, billing relevance. So ZRRT is relevant to billing, and billing is order related billing. What do you mean by order related billing? Some sales orders or some sales contracts are delivery related billing, which means you cannot do the billing till the time you don't deliver the material. Right? If it is relevant to delivery, if it is relevant to the goods, then definitely you can do the billing only when delivery has been completed. So you create the sales order, you do the delivery, and finally you do the billing. Okay, but in this case, because these are the contract orders and normally there are no deliveries, there is no physical delivery because this is a service contract, then definitely this order will be order related billing. So as soon as the order is created, you can do the billing. Okay, so what about this one? This is also billing relevant, and the billing relevant is again order relevant but with billing plan. Okay, which means in this case, although this is relevant to order related billing, but there will be only one billing document created here. Okay, but in this case, the billing is based on the billing plan. There can be multiple billings for the same sales contract. Okay, and that is the reason whenever I use item category WVN, if you see here, we used item category WVN. If I click on this line, select this line and click on billing plan, earlier I shown you this was not working. So you can see the billing plan, and this is what? Quarterly. So you can see the start date of the contract is 1st July to 30th June. Okay, so the values from or the billing from 1st July to 30th 9, the billing will be done on 1st July. So you can see this billing is done in advanced. So for quarterly billing, every quarterly there is a billing. 1st July, 1st October, 1st Jan and 1st April. Okay, but this billing is for what? For next 3 months. So from 1st July 2012 to 30th September 2012, the billing will be created on this date. So the total contract value is 1200. It will be done into 4 billings of 300 each, but the revenues will be still recognized every month. That is 100 USD per month. Okay, so this is called as billing plan based revenue recognition. Okay, again, if you go to billing document, all other settings are same. So revenue is recognized based on the contract start date. Okay, based on the time interval, but only difference is this is having a billing plan. The last one don't have the billing plan, which means billing document will be created every quarterly and revenue will be recognized every monthly. So how this is different? If I click on document flow, you will find there are multiple billing documents. See, currently, again, for this particular sales contract, if you see, there are 4 billings to be created, but there are only 2 which are already created. See, completely processed. There are 2 billings which are already done, but these 2 billings are still pending. That is the reason you can see their status A, which means not yet processed. Okay, and that is the reason if I go to billing document, I can see there are 2 accounting documents which are already created. You can clearly see that the customer has been debited and deferred revenue account is credited. Okay, and this deferred revenue account will be moved from deferred revenue to actual revenue at the every month end. So you can see this revenue recognition very clearly. Deferred revenue account debit and actual revenue account credit. Okay, one option is you can look at
this. It's at the beginning of the month, right? It's not at the end of the month. It's the beginning of the month.
Sorry, Ram?
When is the revenue moved from deferred to beginning of the month or end of the month?
At the month end, when you execute VF44. Rama, the revenue will be moved from deferred revenue to actual revenue at the end of every month using transaction VF44.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Okay, so you can see this is for 31st of July. So this is the posting from deferred revenue to actual revenue for the month of July. Similarly, if you come back, there are different, see, these are for different months. So if I go and display document, this is for 31st of August. So this is for the month of August. This is for the month of September. This is for the month of October. So what is happening? Every period end, the amount is getting transferred from deferred revenue to actual revenue account. Okay, so this is how this functionality works based on the item category, based on the sales order document type. System will determine the item category, and based on the item category, system will determine whether the revenue is to be recognized at once using standard revenue recognition, or it has to be recognized according to the period based, and also whether the billing plan will be activated for this particular item, or the billing has to be done only once.
Gaurav, this is Katir. I have a question. So
Yes.
When you were displaying the contract, it's showing as quarterly. Basically, contract is billed 4 times in the particular year, right? But
Yes.
when you're showing the revenue recognition, it's happening every month. So how is the difference between you do a periodic every month and then using a billing plan? What makes a difference?
You mean to say if I make this instead of quarterly, if I make this every month end?
Correct. So how it makes a difference?
Yeah, the difference would be, see, if you are doing at the end of every month, let's say you're billing, you are performing at the end of every month, then in that case, there is no need of deferred revenue account. It will be directly booked. The customer account will be debited and revenue account will be credited, but it will be 100 per month.
So in this particular example, the revenue recognition will be between the deferred revenue till the quarter, or am I right? And then in the quarter get billed.
What is happening here, for every quarterly, billing is done in advance for 3 months. Okay, and because you are doing the billing for entire 3 months, for next 2 months, the amount should go to deferred revenue, right? Because that is not the revenue for that particular month.
Okay, so this scenario is basically we build the customer upfront. So it moves from deferred revenue to revenue every month.
Yes, not upfront. See, upfront again have 2 parts. One upfront is entire contract value at once. Last scenario that we seen. For entire year, there is only one billing document. The second option is the billing is being done every quarterly. So every quarterly, we are booking the revenue for next 3 months, but this revenue is not to be recognized in the month that you are doing the billing, right? Because you are doing it for the future periods, and those future periods, whatever revenue you booked, that will go to deferred revenue as of now, and every month end that will get transferred from deferred revenue to actual revenue account.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, and there is one more important thing here. See, periodic billing is okay. We are saying that this is a periodic billing, but on top of that, you can see there is this option. How you want to recognize. So as you said, if I want to do it every monthly, so in that case, you will select this 50 or 51. If you select 50, the billing will be done at the end of every month. So definitely there is no question of deferred revenue because that month is already over and you are allowed to book that as an actual revenue.
Correct.
But if you are doing at the beginning of the month, let's say the month is just started and you are booking on the 1st of July itself, although it will not make any difference, because in the periodic reporting you are going to do at the end of the month, and this will consider it as a revenue. But only thing is the posting date could be the problem. So you may book as a deferred revenue, or you may book as a actual revenue based on the customer's requirement, right? But then you also have this quarterly options. So quarterly option number Z4, we are using Z4 here, which means it will be done at the beginning of the quarter. Okay, this should be beginning of the quarter instead of beginning of the month. This should be beginning of the quarter. So what is happening, since you are doing at the beginning of the quarter, this revenue will be definitely booked as deferred revenue.
Deferred revenue.
Yes. But for example, if you go for Z3, this is at the end of the month. If you are doing at the end of the contract, again, this is end of quarter. If you are doing at the end of the quarter, what will happen is first you book the revenue. Yes. In that case, first you are booking the revenue and then you are doing the billing at the quarter end. So in that case, our scenario of unbilled receivable every monthly will come into the picture. There will not be any deferred revenue, but unbilled receivables will come into the picture. So our fourth example or third example that I showed you, unbilled receivable, this is related to the same plan, but only instead of Z4, we will be using Z3. So I had that scenario also, but I think it's we will not be able to cover that today. We will see in the next session, which is
how to add Z1, Z2, Z4, Z5 to this list?
Sorry, Rama?
How can I add more entries to this list? Z4, Z5, Z6, etc.
More means you want to add into the list.
Yeah, right. If I have to add Z5.
Yeah, we will see. We'll see all this. I'll show you where exactly this is getting determined from, if there is any possibility of adding this also. I'll show you in the next class.
So one question, Gaurav, in a scenarios, is there any scenario where we actually bill a customer end of the whole cycle? So we talked about billing them upfront and then it goes to deferred revenue, we go one by one. Did you ever encounter any scenario where we go through the whole contract, then we bill them in the last?
Yeah, even see, it depends upon the scenario, yes, but that is possible. So in that case, this scenario will come into the picture because you are doing the billing at the end of the contract, right? This is your question.
Correct. Yes, that's my question. But I'm thinking of a real scenario where that can happen. Have you encountered that?
Not really, but yes, possible. It is not. We are not saying that is not possible. In some of the cases, normally, see, all the companies, they charge on upfront. But maybe you can think about the scenarios like rain
services. I'm thinking something like service scenario, where sign a contract.
No, there will be definitely some scenarios. What you are talking about is definitely that is also possible.
All right. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. So any questions? Otherwise, we will stop today and we'll meet again on day after tomorrow with the remaining. I mentioned only one scenario, but I'm going to talk about 2-3 more scenarios, and then obviously the new requirements from IFRS 15.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gaurav. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So any questions before you stop today?
Are you sending this video now?
Sorry, Jonathan?
Are you sending it? Please, are you sending this video now?
There is a lot of background noise. Please mute. All of you, please mute. Yes, Jonathan, please go ahead.
Yeah, I said, is it possible you send this video as soon as possible?
Actually, this is taken care by Krishna, but I can ask him to send it to you faster.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.